Welcome to the Sassy Assassin Super Power Hour. These special Pro Edition episodes are especially super powerful. I met a gentleman named Max Whitehead from Whitehead Group Employment Services, and he's passionate about small businesses in New Zealand, as am I. And we met at a networking group and got along so well, we decided to take our show on the road. So these episodes are really going to be our experience and our opinions and our outlook on how we can support small businesses in New Zealand, not just survive, but to thrive, especially in lieu of all the business that's coming to New Zealand. So it's a great time for us to really ensure that our businesses are as profitable and successful and set up to really grow as much as we want them to be. So episode 1 sets the stage on our first message to businesses in New Zealand and how you can do just a few things to tweak how you're doing business today. So enjoy all the episodes, yet here is episode 1. I see New Zealand as a place of full opportunity. So I think that before and for a long time, New Zealand maybe has felt a little bit isolated and maybe felt a little bit, I'm not quite sure, but not as good as Australia. And I am here first of all to say that that is not the truth. I think the community here and the creativity and the innovation that's happening and the fact that, and I'm jumping ahead, but I think that New Zealand takes time to watch what's happening and makes changes, and they're at the size that they can. And so and after coming from America and seeing a lot of the boom and the bust and the boom and the busting again, to say that there's nothing but potential here. There's going to be a lot of onslaught of businesses coming here, bigger businesses and smaller businesses. So it's the best time, I think, for people here to really understand what they're doing with their business and how they're building a community and how they're going to grow that business either here or moving it out.
Yeah, we're a bit like the small kid in the class. We feel a little bit inferior, so we make up with it by posturing a bit. But the other thing New Zealanders don't like is the tall poppy.
Certainly.
We don't like that. And unfortunately, that does hold us back. So people with success in New Zealand, we love the word humble. So if we find someone who's hugely successful, particularly our sports people, and they go, no, I'm not very humble. Or our heroes who goes in and bursts into a burning house and saves someone. And when they say it was just nothing, everyone would do that. We think that's wonderful. And that's unfortunately affecting our business, because people should inspire to actually be successful. But what happens is a lot of people actually suppress them. And that's the culture we have in New Zealand, is don't be too loud, don't make too much noise, and success, we knock it back. You know, if you're a big guy in the successful grounds, you know, the guy in the classroom that gets top marks all the time, maybe not so cool. Nerd.
Certainly.
So I think Sassy makes a good point that we've got some growing up to do, and we ought to size ourselves up. You know, while we're small in size in terms of country and geographic and population, that we possibly could match ourselves in terms of performance, and we do that with sport. But why not in business? You know what, Sassy? I find in New Zealand we celebrate sport like our national heroes.
So much celebration goes on in this country.
Well,
I love it.
Well, yeah, but for sports. Now, we get our, captain. He's like a god to New Zealanders.
Right.
But we get a captain of industry, and it must be bad. He's ripping people off. You know, he's definitely negative. And unfortunately, that has another impact on our economy, on our prosperity, and people's lives. And that's where I think the message has got to be. We should be celebrating, because that's what Americans do. You celebrate success, don't you?
Yes, and I also think that with celebrating business, it also allows us to open up for more growth in our businesses, making more money, right? We don't really question a lot when the people of sport make a lot of money, but we certainly question the CEO or the CMO or whatever it is. And that stunts our growth, not just the growth of a company that you're working for, you're running, but your own growth. And I think that's where the potential really is, because, by the way, somebody's going to come in, especially with more and more people coming to the country, and they're going to change that path. So it's best to change our stories and change the way that we're doing business.
And look, we're already experiencing that. I mean, I've been around a long time, but certainly from, I started work in the 70s. Yes, folks, I'm getting old. But if you get to it, nowadays, the culture of businesses, or business itself has changed. And the dynamics of work has changed. But what you've just said is the importation of skills, and what we're finding particularly in larger corporates, that people taking the upper echelon jobs are actually foreigners most times now, and getting more and more so. Mm-hmm. And I know we complain about gender mix, but that's certainly the sideline of it. What we're having is people with drive, ambition, and really fixated on actually success are actually drifting to the top, and us Kiwis are going, oh yeah, well, I'm not, no, really, I don't need success. I can get on with my life, and it's holding us back.
Mm-hmm. About believing that you're worthy, to believe that you're better than you think you are, right? And that little tweak goes so far. It would probably change your career.
So what do Kiwis need to do? You see it from the outside. You get a better perspective than I do in terms of what we need. We're doing so wrong, because it must be obvious to you.
Well, I wouldn't say wrong, and certainly would not criticize this beautiful country.
Or what we could do
so
better.
Grateful to be here. But I would say there's an opportunity for improvement, and I would say the first thing that the good thing is that a lot of people know you, right? I was talking to a gentleman, and he said, well, New Zealanders have not really believed that they should be telling their stories, because they know everybody. They go down to the pub, or they see them at the store, or they see them out, and so we don't really have to tell our stories and advertise. And that, I think, is changing. So I would say that the opportunity is to start not to be like somebody else. So don't look at like somebody who's wildly successful and change who you are. I'm not going to change who I am, but I am going to start being more confident about who I am, what I have to offer, what my value is, and that includes experience, right? Even if you're not young or millennial, we talk a lot about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that. We still have amazing value, and it's not just what we've learned in the workplace, it's what we've learned out of life if we have traveled. What I've learned from traveling, I'll tell you, the one thing that I learned from moving to Australia was that the people were adventurous and entrepreneurial, and that's where I started my first business, was because of traveling. And so I think that the first thing that the New Zealanders really can do is just start figuring out what is your story and what is your worth, and start telling it. And maybe that would be a nice little transition.
Totally agree.
Isn't Max so personable and knowledgeable? I hope you enjoy these episodes as much as I'm going to enjoy filming them. So now, let's tell our stories a little bit more boldly and let yourself come out, because people want to know you. And until next time, I'm Kristin Rohan, and this is the Sassy Assassin Super Power Hour Pro Edition. Cheers.